Hi everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I realized after my last video how awkward I sounded, and so I wanted to just kind of like turn over a new leaf and do a new video with me being a little bit more excited about the books that I'm talking about, because I realized that I need to be a little bit more assertive than like soft spoken and closed off. I am just like turning up the personality a little bit. I'm also not as nervous this time because I've already posted YouTube videos. Hopefully this video is a little bit more of me getting you excited about the books that I love, because small town romances are one of my favorites. Like, I have read so many of them. I read over 50 small town romances last year. So in today's video, I'm going to give you my top small town book recs. I really hope that you enjoy these recs and keep watching. Also, if I keep looking here, it's because I'm filming on my phone and so I can see myself. So the first recommendation I have is actually an author, because she has so many small town romance recs. These recs are so underappreciated. So in April of 2022, here's a picture that I posted. My iPad, that's all of her books that I read in a row. And then after I posted that picture, I went on to read another one of her series straight after that. So I read like 4 of her series back to back. And I currently I read pretty much all of her books online because she is on Kindle Unlimited. So she's like one of their authors. I found 2 of her books on sale not that long ago, so I bought them, and this is the Rose Canyon series by Corinne Michaels. If you have not read a book by Corinne Michaels and you're a small town romance lover, girl, what are you doing? Her books, so good. She typically does stories about like brothers and then like them all finding their wives and like living in like a little small town community. They're so well written. The plot twists and like the things that happen are, well, I mean, there's only so many plot twists that you can do in a romance book, right? But I would say most of the time they're not super predictable, which I personally love, and hence why I read so many of her books back to back. They are such easy reads. If you want like a cute, not super long small town romance, then she is the author for you, because her books genuinely are so good. Something that I love about Corinne Michaels is that every single one of her books are connected. Every single series, there's like cameos from characters in other books. I would really recommend reading them in the order that she has out on her website, because it makes so much more sense. I personally didn't do that and I regret it, because I would like, there would be a character cameo and I would have no idea, and then I would go and read that character's books, but then the timeline didn't match up because that character's books happened before the books that I read with them as a cameo in it. So I would recommend reading them in order. But if you're only going to read like 1 or 2 series, and I don't really think it matters that much, I have 2 favorite series from Corinne, and it is the Hennington brothers and the Arrowwood brothers. I would also say that a close third is Willow Creek Valley. Love them. Oh, and also Rose Canyon. I literally own the books, so if I didn't like them, why would I own them? Obviously Hennington brothers, Arrowwood brothers, those are about brothers. The Rose Canyon series is about childhood best friends. Like, the guys are all childhood best friends. They all go away for different jobs and such, and then they all find themselves moving back to their small town and having a partner. Help Me Remember is a murder mystery. This book, the main female character, she witnesses her brother's death. But the thing is, she has amnesia, so she doesn't remember him dying. Police are trying to figure out who killed her brother and why he died. She's like the only clue that they have, but she cannot remember at all. It's a really cute brother's best friend romance, because he's like, her brother's best friend is trying to help her remember. Title! Her brother's best friend is trying to help her remember what happened, but you know, she can't remember, obviously. So there's like ups and downs and plot twists. I really enjoyed this book a lot, actually. And then the second book in the series, the third book, is about to come out too. I'm so excited about that. The second book is called Give Me Love. I personally liked this one better than the first one, although I think that the first one was still really good. To me, this is like they are both in the army, so it's a marriage of convenience to like get benefits, but then they're both released. And he's released for medical reasons, and her like service was up. He moves back to his small town, and then suddenly she's a detective on a case in the small town, and so she moves back to work on it, and they reunite, and he hasn't told anybody that he's married. I think that it is just so, like, it's such a good idea. It's such a good idea, and it's executed so unbelievably well. I have some pictures on my Instagram from quotes from this. Just the way he talks about her, like you can just tell how perfect they are. Blakely is like drinking water after being in the desert for too long. She's the sun on your face after a year of cloudy skies. No matter how much I wish it were different, she holds my heart and soul. Like a guy talking about... I just love Corinne. Like Corinne's writing just literally speaks to my soul, and she has so many good quotes and plot twists and development and character development that I just so recommend her books. This is like the reading order of her series if you're interested, but the Arrowwood and the Hennington brothers are my favorite, so I would 110% recommend her books. I also read quite a lot of Melanie Harlow books, and so I was going to add them into this video, but then I saw this TikTok with a quote from one of the books, and it's like, it was an age gap romance, and it was so weird. I think I blocked it out because I'd read the book that they were talking about, and the quotes were really kind of creepy because it was like a large age gap, and he was talking about his like girlfriend as if she were like a child, like she got on her knees like a child, and I don't know why, but I have no recollection of that. So I've promptly taken out a lot of my Melanie Harlow recs from this video. So that's just a tad note there. But if you are interested in Melanie Harlow, I had a good time reading her books, but I just fully don't remember like majority of the things that happen in them. So I'm just not gonna like fully recommend specific books to you because I feel like that's a bit of a slippery slope. Okay, so next are my popular small town romance recs. I feel like a lot of these are talked about already, but I'm gonna talk about them anyways because they're so freaking good and they seriously deserve the recognition. So first we have Archer's Voice. This is about Bree and Archer. Archer is mute and kind of like a recluse from the small town that he's in. People aren't very nice to him. They kind of purposefully exclude him because they don't know how to interact with him. You have to be able to understand sign language so that he can talk to you, and nobody in the town bothered to learn it, which is just absolutely insane. Bree moves to the small town and she knows a little bit of sign language, so she talks with him and like gets to know him, and it's just the most beautiful story. I sobbed at the end of this because of one of the plot twists. I was truly heartbroken for what I thought was happening, and then my heart was healed by the ending as well. If you want a super like emotional, heartfelt, just good feeling small town romance, I would 100% recommend this one. My friend, she absolutely loves this book. She has a tattoo designated to it, so if people love this book enough to get a tattoo, then like why wouldn't you read it? Next is my favorite Mariana Zapata book ever, like ever. Little backstory: I read The Wall of Winnipeg and Me and From the Cove with Love, and then I was like, I'm done with Mariana Zapata. Like, not that the books were bad, I genuinely really enjoyed them, but they were just, in comparison to everything else that I was reading, they didn't really stand out that much to me. Then I read All Roads Lead Here. Why did nobody rave about this book the way it deserved to be raved about? I first read this on Kindle because I was like, oh, it's Mariana Zapata, like I don't know if I'm gonna like it, so I'm not gonna buy it. Before I had even finished this book on Kindle, I had ordered a physical copy of it. This book is about Aurora, who moves back to her small town that she grew up in after having to be moved away to live with her aunt because her mother passed away. And she booked this like little Airbnb place that is like on another person's land because there was no hotels or anything available for her. When she gets there, she finds out that she's actually not welcome, and that the man whose land the place is on, his son is the one who rented it out to her for some like money for summer. He ends up letting her stay because he feels bad for her. He's like super grumpy. He doesn't want anybody in his business. Like he just wants to be left alone to like live out his little sad days, I guess. He's a park ranger, I should say. And he like ends up like softening up to her and like helping her, and there's like this thing where she goes on a hike and she trips and he like freaks out. You realize that he's like slowly falling for her, and it's just like their romance. It's a slow burn. It's so good. I would recommend this one the most out of any of the books I'm recommending. Okay, so I have one more standalone, which I'm only going to briefly talk about because I feel like I rant about this book a little bit too often and people are going to find that annoying, but Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. I know it's super popular. I know that there's the sequel coming out. I talked about this in my last video. If you haven't read this book yet and you're a small town romance reader, why have you not picked it up? Like, just give it a go. Just see, and if you don't like it, that's fine. But there's a huge chance that you will love it because so many people love this book. I give a synopsis in my last video, so I'm not going to give you another one, but that's all I think I need to say. Read this book. Read it. So I had a couple people on Bookstagram tell me to read this series, and the main one was Nicoletta. This is her Instagram if you're interested. And she started reading The Simple Wild, and I think it was like a couple weeks after she started posting about the series that I then picked up the series and I read it. This is like, when I tell you, this is probably one of my favorite series ever. The two probably tie for first place in my small town romance series because they are just so good. The first book, I will say, gets off a little bit slow, and the main character, she is like very materialistic, especially at the beginning. That annoyed me quite a lot. But once you push through that, it's set in Alaska, and the main girl, her name is Kala, and her father is like a pilot for like Alaska, the like small plane services, I guess you could say. It's his business that he runs out of Alaska. And she lives in the city with her mom and her stepdad. So light backstory without any spoilers. Basically, Kala's mom and dad split up when she was a teeny tiny little baby because they couldn't make the distance work. Her dad didn't want to leave Alaska and her mom didn't want to leave the city. She goes to Alaska because she finds out that her father is dying. She'd never like properly met him apart from when she was a toddler. From there, she meets one of her dad's pilots called Jonah, and instantly there's kind of like a connection, except it's mainly him just like making fun of how much of a city girl she is. Like, the banter that this couple has is just so warmed my heart so much, but also it's just like them making fun of each other the whole time. So if you don't like that, I don't know if you would like the banter in this book. It's just about them and her learning that there is so much more to life than just being like pretty, like, I would say materialistic, that there is so much more to life than that. And I think it's just this amazing full circle moment that she has in these books. She ends up facing like the similar question that her parents had, which is like, will she stay with Jonah or will she go back to the city? All of that is said on the blurb pretty much. It has 3 books and a novella. This is adorable. Last book also isn't about Jonah and Kala. It's about one of the other like side characters in the first 3, which you kind of go, oh, like why would you stop there? But it is so good. You don't expect to love it as much as you love the first 3 because it's not about the same characters. Akaya Tucker just writes so well and so engagingly that it doesn't matter that it's not about Jonah and Kala, because you're still gonna get that same immersive feeling that you felt in the first 3 books. And I truly love this series with all of my heart. I'm probably going to reread it this year. That series as a whole is 5 stars. Like, there's no question about it. It is 5 stars. Okay, last but certainly not least is the Eden series by Devney Perry. I talk about this series so much on my Instagram, and the next book comes out soon. Jasper Vale is coming out on the 31st of January, so I'm so excited. It's called the Eden series because the Edens are like the founding family of the small town. And so every single book is about a different Eden. The novella is technically the prequel, but it's not about any of the Edens, so it just takes place in their hotel. So the first book is about Winslow and Griffin. It's a murder mystery. She's the new chief of police that is hired, and Griffin is like a farm boy. He's literally a cowboy. He has horses and they go riding, and it is so good. I should also say Indigo Ridge, Juniper Hill and Garnet Flats are all like different farms or different estates in Quincy, the small town. The first book is about Winslow and Griffin Eden. The second book is about Memphis and Knox Eden. And then the third book is about Foster and Talia Eden. So all of them are books about Edens, and I just love them so much. I'm gonna just tell you the main tropes of these books. So we have a murder mystery, we have single mum, and we have second chance. Writing is what drew me into these because I read a lot of small town romances. Obviously, I think I've said that like 20 times in this video already, but I read so many of them, and when an author has good writing, and I am so immersed in the story world. That's how I tell a good small town romance from a bad, to be honest, because after a certain point all the tropes are the same, like the plot twists are like typically very similar. So to me it really comes down to the writing, plot and character development, and this series plus The Simple Wild are just like so unbelievably well written, and I really think that the authors are they're just so amazing, and I really do love them so much. If you guys have any other small town romance books that I didn't mention in this, put them in the comments down below for other people. Let me know if there are any other book recommendation videos that you want me to do with specific tropes, because I really loved doing this video. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for supporting me on my first YouTube video. I was very nervous to post it. Just like seeing the few positive comments that I got, it just made me feel so much more comfortable about it. Thank you so much, and I will see you next week, most likely, for another YouTube video.